I'm Super Antonio. And we're live. Greetings, friends. Happy Friday. Hope you had a great week. And welcome back to Free Roam Fridays, which has returned on Fridays. We are starting over with a new save. And Marco is here. Greetings, Marco. Welcome, friend. Appreciate you. I appreciate all your comments. I know it's late for you. Marco says, hey, everyone. So glad to be here after such a long time. Can't stay for long, but I wanted to say hi to everyone. Sadie's here, and she says hi, Marco. So, yeah, it's great to see you. I really appreciate your support and views and comments on the replays. It's always great to hear from you, friend. And I'm glad you're here, even if it's only for a minute. We're a little early. We're starting at 6. We're trying something new. All weekend long, live streams will be starting at 6 p.m. PST Pacific Time. Marco says, hey, friendo. Glad you started a new gameplay. And hello, Sadie. Here's Sadie. What was I going to say? Yeah, Bad Honor commentary has moved to Saturday. We only have like 3 more lives to do before that one's finished because we're not going to do the epilogue. We just did Bad Honor Arthur. And then we have the LA Noir live stream. And that also has like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, also 3 more cases, including, so both those playthroughs will pretty much end at the same time. Next month, we will be starting The Last of Us, Part 1 on Saturdays. And then I'm not sure what we're going to do on Sundays. I was going to do Sleeping Dogs, but I'm leaning more towards Batman Arkham Knight. Because, you know, everyone loves Batman. And it's third person, it's a cheap on PS4, and you can free roam in Gotham. What's that about? So any game that's third person where you can free roam, that sounds like a good time to me. To old Super Antonio. And I watched some playthroughs. It's a little dark. Not emotionally, it's dark. Cinematographically, but because he's always at night and he's the Dark Knight. But I'm thinking about it. We have the Nueva Paraíso outfit. Maybe I should move the picture, the pictor. Let's see. Hold on. How do we do that? Here we go. There. Someone's under the desk. Come back up here and see everyone. Marco says, of course, my friend. Happy always to comment and share my support. Yeah, and I know Arthur meant to do that. I know Serena is always happy to hear from you. Serena misses you as well. Back on the Mahogany Bay. We're going to have that for a while. We're going to swap out for the Iron Gray. Ardennes not in this playthrough. Now we're just kind of starting over. We got to get the hat. Got to get the belt buckle. Got to talk to Deborah McGinnis. Yep. I don't like this up here. Right here. What about here? How's that work?
Excuse me?
Because if they did,
Nope.
they can get lost. I have never been so insulted in all my life.
Optimally,
really,
it'd be down
laughed at.
here.
Balderdash.
So yeah, we're trying something new.
Are you quite certain you're not a
Streams
spy?
at 6.
Spy?
Those
We'll see if
wretches
that
will do
works.
anything to
You have to try
destroy me.
different things.
My theories are correct, and I can prove it.
What theories?
I am the leading
Boley's here. Boley says,
paleontologist
hola
in
everyone
the
and
nation,
Super Antonio.
and
How's
not
it going?
one
Hope
university
everyone
will
is in a
hire me
better
because
place. I hope
unlike
you're in a
them,
better
I
place as
actually
well,
have
Boley, and I'm glad you're
ideas.
here. Greetings, friend. And Marco says, I miss her too. I miss all
I
of
study
you, and I'm just happy to
dinosaurs,
be
you
here.
know,
I'm
big
so
lizards.
happy that you're here, Marco.
Of Nashville.
Sadie moved to the
Nick,
couch.
And
She's had
everywhere.
enough of the live stream for a while.
Everywhere?
This state was once a vast,
Yeah, we keep
shallow
trying new
sea
things.
that had
The only
most
thing that I
incredible
haven't
animal
tried
that could walk,
is
swim, and fly.
not doing
Quite
camera.
unique. I call it
What's that about?
Totalsaurus. Just for now.
Trippy doesn't have a face reveal.
I'm trying to gather all
It would
the
be so
evidence.
embarrassing. I hate that hat.
Deborah McGinnis.
Plantation hat. I hate how it slouches. It'd be
Could
so
you give me a hand here,
embarrassing
please?
if views went up if I didn't do a face reveal.
Listen, if you find any of these bones around,
I
send them
laugh
to my homestead
because if I didn't
in
laugh, I'd
Forward
cry.
Rise in Cumberland Forest.
But you know, I'm confident in how I
Mail
look
me
and I
the
like dressing up.
locations. I'll reward you handsomely.
And
for
I
your
recall my
efforts.
nephew pointed it out to me in the early days of Super Antonio,
And
the
we'll
Super
be
Antonio
proving a lot of
channel.
stuck-up
One of the most
buffoons
popular
very,
searches was Super
very
Antonio
wrong.
face
Which,
reveal.
trust me, is the very best thing
What's that about?
science.
But you know, everyone was playing that
Good day to
game
you, sir.
4 years ago. What was I gonna say?
I'll keep my eye out for you.
Yeah, we have to get the we have to get the hat, and because I really don't like. But I wanted to showcase the Nueva Paraíso outfit because I never do, and I do like it. Miko Herptile is here. Greetings, Miko. Marco. Miko. Miko says hello, Super Antonio City mods and everyone. And Miko says hello, Marco and Boli. I'm very confused by these names now. Boli says getting the platinum for this game took me 4 years, but it was worth it. Not going to see another game like this for another decade. I agree, Boli. And I'm having so much fun with this new playthrough. Just all these events, they're like old friends. And it's so nice just being nice Arthur, good honor Arthur, not having to be mean to everyone.
You alright there? Ain't gonna harm you anymore.
Got that right.
Mister, I don't hardly know what
And
to
raising
say.
cash. We need the
Thanks,
cash.
I guess. You've done me a service. Hey, look. The stage company.
Did you have a good week?
This off as a robbery
I had a
anyway.
good week.
If you can get in that lockbox, you can take what you want from it.
Haven't been
It ain't
sleeping
stealing
well
if
as I
it's
drink my
already stolen.
third cup of coffee of the day. What's that about? I've been having bad dreams, not nightmares. I want to specify, but bad dreams. John Harrington says, "Hi, Super Antonio. Love playing Red Dead Redemption 2 and love your videos." Thank you, John. Appreciate you being here. Just they're very emotionally intense dreams. They're I would call them, but you know they're not frightening. They're not nightmares. But I you know I end up. It's like all the events of my life, all the sad events of my life, get shuffled like a deck of cards and then replayed. You know, at night in my dreams. You know, I've woken up with tears on my face, so I'm crying in my sleep. And Sadie's actually woken me up a couple times, so I may be like, you know, she can tell I'm upset, and that's kind of, what's that about? So yeah, it's like made me avoid sleeping. I don't want to sleep, and I know what it's about. I mean, you know, it's just, you know, I'm processing, you know, the death of my parents, like Batman. But it's just so weird. I don't understand. And you know, I've been, and this doesn't, you know, it doesn't help that I've been binging Hannibal, the TV show, because which is great. I love it. I love how he dresses. I love the style of the show. I love his style. You know, I've gotten so many great ideas for wardrobe. And but it's so dark, and it's not. You know, it's like I've been also watching True Blood, and True Blood is violent and funny and sexy, and Hannibal is violent and sexy and not funny at all. Mama One and Papa One are here. Greetings, Mama One. and Papa One. Mama One says, hey, family, and hey, gang. Papa One says, hey, gang. Sadie's here. I don't know. She's under the desk playing with a bony bone, but I'll bring her back for you. Starting a little earlier just to see, just to shake things up. Free Roam Fridays is on Friday. We've moved the Bad Honor commentary to Saturday. LA Noir is on Sunday for the time being. Right now, I'm thinking about, well, Last of Us Part 1 will be on Saturday, and I'm thinking about Arkham Knight, Batman Arkham Knight for Sunday. Miko says, hello, John. And Miko also says, hello, Mama One and Papa One. John says, how's your week been? Have you had a good one? I had a good one, more or less, except for the sleeping part.
Yep.
But, yeah, it's just old emotional debris that is being brought to the surface, or like my unconscious surface, and super annoying. So I've been trying to watch something light before I fall asleep. I've been watching Frasier, which is really funny and so witty. And I love how they speak, both Kelsey Grammer and the brother who plays Niles. I can't recall his name right now. And I do like their dressing styles. It's a little too 90s for me. I think I like Miles's style better, because he's very formal. And, he's sharp. And Frasier's style is more academic. A lot of sweater vests. But they're all like ties and suits all the time, which, I love, which I'm all about these days. Mama One says, hey, Miko. And Papa One says, Miko, I always look forward to chatting with you, friend. John says, hello, everyone on here.
How you get on out there, Mr. Morgan?
Fine.
What's it like?
It's a decent place. There's food to eat. Fools to rob. We'll be okay.
Ms. Grimshaw.
As long as we don't linger too long.
Mama One says, is this Bad Honor restart? No, it's just a full-on
They could find.
Good.
free roam.
We're gonna need to make a decent
Bad Honor
amount of
has
money if
moved
we're
to
gonna get out of this hole.
Saturday.
No.
And we'll continue this indefinitely. Right now, we're just
We'll see you later.
collecting the basics, raising cash, getting a decent hat.
Hi there.
Kieran's still tied to that tree.
All good there, Pearson?
We're trying to get the scout jacket, but I think we missed the window.
I know. I will.
Miko says, likewise, Papa One. 13 viewers in the chat. Welcome, friends. Appreciate you being here. Look at that. I drank coffee at the exact same time that Arthur drank his coffee. What's that about? It's almost as if I planned it. I didn't. It was a happy coincidence. She likes the smell of coffee, I think. I think it just she associates it with me. But she's mostly tired. And a little stinky. Not stinky, but horsey. By the end of the week, she's always a little horsey. Marco says, are Doc and David still coming to the premieres? The old guard, haha. I don't know. I hope Doc is doing well. Doc checks in every now and then. It's always great to hear from him. And David and O-Dog have moved on, regrettably. But, people move on. They find new games to play. I have nothing but love for them. And, wish them and Chrissy all the best
Mr. Morgan. I know.
in their new
We
endeavors.
need food. How'd you know I was gonna say that? You're walking. You're only walking when you're not
I do
cooking.
like that sweater, Mr.
You're only not
Pearson's.
cooking
I
when
like
there's
I
not
like
enough
that look. Maybe not that belly, but I did like that ragged sweater look. But I'm not dressing like a Raggedy Ann anymore, like a raggedy punk rocker, raggedy punk rock and roller. I just dressing a little better these days. I'm very happy about that. And you'll note this free roam Arthur is dressing a little better. He's wearing a scarf now. But that's Nueva Paraíso. We're going to add a vest at some point. And right now we're just trying to get him to engage and tell us we look a little peaky. Spoiler alert. It's not going to happen. But yeah. Marco says, oh, I had no idea. I understand. Like you said, people move on. It's life. Papa One says, how have you been well, Super Antonio? Yeah, I believe so, more or less. It's the end of the month. That's always, I wouldn't say stressful, but, you know, it involves a little bit of financial juggling to make sure everything's covered for the month. Yes, because I got a lot of automatic payments, and that's super annoying. Come back. She's not coming back, so I just have to make sure those are covered. Keep getting, I keep moving money around. Micah says this is an early stream. You normally stream a little later. Yes, indeed, Micah. We're trying something new. Just to see how it works. We have to try new things. New things, new games, new Super Antonio. Well, maybe not new. And we're always going to be playing this game on Fridays at the very least. But yeah, Last of Us is coming, and probably Batman Arkham Knight. Free roaming in Gotham City. That sounds interesting. I'm looking forward to that. Plus, it's only like $14.99 on Amazon. Miko says, hey, Micah. And Micah says, hey to Miko. And Mama One says, I have tried hundreds of times to get this jacket. So much that I at least robbed Pearson once in the epilogue. To get some revenge. Yeah, your game needs to be around 7%. And pretty much you need to start trying right after Hosea hands you that cup of coffee. That's your opportunity to touch his pipe. And that's your window to get the scout jacket. And then I've heard of people getting it as late as chapter 6, but I don't know how to manipulate it. I only know that one window at around 7%. Marco says, isn't it strange I got back to the premieres when you started Free Roam Fridays?
Yep.
When I discovered the channel back in 2018. Free Roam Fridays was how I found you, friendo. That's an interesting coincidence. And I started those Free Roam Fridays because, to compete with the live streamers who are just like playing this game and talking about it. And I didn't have the capacity back then to live stream. And, let's be honest, I was a little shy. I didn't want to show up on camera. And Papa One says, I often turn up on old videos to give something to listen to, Marco, especially when working on horse tack. Oh, I love hearing that, Papa One. And that's exactly what I want you to do. Is just have me on in the background while you're doing your chores or working to help your day go a little bit better.
Quite the word I'd use.
Well, let me tell you, this great earth beneath our feet can provide everything man ever needs. But we've only reached a tiny bit of its potential.
William is important early in the game because he will give you a horse reviver, free horse reviver. But technically you can buy horse supplies at the general store. You can get it from the catalog, so it's not as critical, but if you're going to be running around with a horse in this game and the stables aren't open, you need a horse reviver.
Why?
Knowledge, kindness, beauty.
Well, I'm ignorant, ugly.
That's why we picked up
Let's see if maybe we can do
The
something
yarrow.
about that.
I'll see.
Bully says, I remember when this guy wasn't in the game. Yeah. He's part of the
I'm looking for a
PC
plant called
upgrade.
yarrow. You can distinguish it by its red flowers. It shouldn't be too hard to find. They thrive out in the open under direct sunlight.
He's nice. He's friendly. He's harmless. But honestly, the only time I really help him is to get the
Let's
free
see
horse
how
survivor.
this tastes. Oh, yeah. I feel better already. They were right.
Micah says, you could
This
easily
stuff
be a
does
narrator
look
for
just like
National
properties.
Geographic. You're a naturally good narrator. Thank you, Micah. I appreciate you saying that. It's nice of you to say.
All this help
Hasn't
deserves
really,
something in return. Well, this is for your horse, actually.
haven't really been able to do anything other than this channel. You know, I tried
Save it for bad injuries. Heaven
I
forbid your
tried
horse is in
spoken
trouble.
word,
You'll be
you
glad
know,
you had
reading
it.
stories
Now,
and
if you
stuff.
don't mind,
I even
I'll
read
get
Night of the Living Dead
service.
once
I look forward to our next
on one
meeting,
of these
traveler.
live streams. But
I can see why
this is
you
about
do
the only
this.
thing you guys want to hear my
All
voice
the
on.
best to you.
Thanks, Arthur. And to you.
Mama one says, I always jump to the hunting mission with Hosea. One of Papa One and my favorite missions reminds us of the old days. I did something new on the grizzly bear, which I do not think we're going to get to this episode. Let me see, I'll check. Let me see. No, we're pretty much just doing random hunting, you know, for deer and stuff, and looking for Norbert, so we can get the Springfield, the snakebite guy, and one more thing. Raising cash like we're doing right now. There's cash up here. Yeah, so spoiler alert, we're not doing any missions tonight. Just kind of hanging out. Getting the feel. Chapter 1. Or Chapter 2. Yeah, we don't even get the hat. We're going to be in the plantation hat. But when we do Hosea, we are going to keep the unruly bastard in your honor. And we're going to get the Iron Gray. Renex Dumb says, hi, greetings, Random. Random with an X. Welcome to the chat. Happy Friday. Papa One says, I love hunting, so this is going to be a good episode. I wish I could still hunt deer and big game. Yeah, we first goal for this Arthur and for every Arthur, every playthrough I do, every free roam I do is to get the Legend of the East satchel. So we start working on the satchel basically immediately, even before we buy Mr. Pearson his leather working tools. And I should just point out, as I often do, that really you should get the saddle the satchel upgrades from the trapper. That seems much more in his wheelhouse. The trapper to make satchels that have infinite capacity, considering he can teleport from location to location. Also, I wish, now that we're, I'm talking about, I wish we could do, if the trapper would do like bow upgrades, just kind of some kind of wrap on there would be nice. And scabbards. I would like scabbards that matched the gun belts and holsters. Also, we have a Nueva Paraíso holster. I don't know if I showed that. Mom one says, love the big brute Shire. And Cloudy is here. Cloudy says, howdy y'all. Mom one says, hey Cloudy. And Miko also says, hey Cloudy. Yeah, we're trying to trigger Norbert, the snakebite guy. And spoiler alert, we won't. He'll show up in a later stream at about 10 p.m. at night. Yeah, I had fun all week. I was just kind of fooling around in Chapter 2, doing this free roam. Papa One says the trapper needs a hunting upgrade. He should be more involved in fishing and hunting. I believe so, Papa One. I agree with you. Regrettably, this game has been abandoned. Micah says the trapper offers that in Red Dead Online. There are custom wraps for bows online, which means the files exist right now in the game files. We just can't access them because we're not online. What's that about? PC players need to figure out how to hack that. Peter Walsdorf says, sorry, I'm late, everyone. Peter, you never have to apologize in these live streams. I appreciate you being here, and happy Friday to you, friend. Cloudy says, glad to be here, Papa One, and glad you're here as well. Bowley wants me to play Red Dead Online. I never really got into online Bowley, even though it's probably good for the channel if I did. I just like playing with Arthur. Nico says, hello, Peter, and Peter says, did you start early? Yes, all weekend we are starting at 6. An hour earlier. Just to see how that does. We have to shake the channel up, try something new. See if it makes a difference. In terms of views and likes, etc. We need the animal fat units from the ducks.
Let's go, boy.
Mama once says, for the amazing story mode we got, you would think that they would have really done above and beyond for online. Yeah, you would think, except that they see dollar signs when they look at GTA Online, and they see less dollar signs when they see Red Dead Online.
Hey there, mister.
Cloudy says it's a good day to play The Witcher 3 and watch some Super Antonio. Yes, Cloudy, I love that game. I love Geralt. We used to do Witcher Wednesdays. Spoiler alert, it did not do well on this channel, regrettably. So, we're going to try The Last of Us next. Peter says, okay, 8 my time. Sounds good. Really like the blue feathers on those wings. Bully says, Red Dead Online is still pretty big. Maybe you should try it out more. We would ride with you. Well, it's something to think about, Bully. Peter says, I just started playing GTA 5 again. I do like Trevor. He is my favorite character. He might be one of my favorite Rockstar characters, not counting Arthur, of course. Certainly my favorite character in that game. He's the most authentic, I believe. I suppose you could make, I was going to do a routine camp inspection, but there was no one there. I suppose you could make the argument that, what's the name of the black guy? He's also authentic. But, certainly Trevor's my favorite. Franklin. Mom One says, I would be down to ride on an online, just a virtual meetup. And Micah says, I know there were plans for director mode for single player, which is basically a sandbox mode where you can play as any character in the game. I love that, Micah. That would open up the channel so much. They should figure that out. PC players should figure that out. And then we'll and then I'll get a PC. Marco has to go. He says, I have to go now, friendo, but I'm so glad I saw you. It's been so good to be back. Brings back a lot of memories. Now that you'll have premiere sooner, I'll try to be there more often. I'm always happy to hear from you, Marco, either in the chat or in the comments. You have a great weekend. I know Serena, when she shows up, will be happy to know that you're back. And we'll talk to you soon, friend. Peter says, why does Stephen Ogg not like being called Trevor? Not sure. I hadn't heard that, but you know, he might have just gotten tired of people associating him with that character. You know, which to me seems like he's taking himself a little too seriously. But, you know, who am I? What do I know? Cloudy says, Super Antonio, did you look into Bully? And Cloudy, yes, I did. But I can't, you know, I was looking for like a PS4 upgrade. We might be able to stream it. But, yeah, I looked into it. I did a little research. Papa One says, does Lamar die in GTA 5? He always annoyed the heck out of me. Other than that, I like GTA 5. Not as much as Red Dead Redemption 2. It's just my style. Ironically, I love games about horses and westerns. Nothing ironic about that. This guy will also, if you can get him to spawn at the Annesburg train station, he'll give you free stuff from the gunsmith. Otherwise, it's strawberry. Miko says, see you, Marco. And Papa One says, although I got to experience horses and riding every day on the ranch, I guess I was just born for it. You were indeed, Papa One. And Papa One says, nice meeting you, Marco. Look at that, Marco. You made another friend. And Peter says the voice actor for Franklin is cousins with the voice actor of CJ. Interesting. And Mom One says, yes, nice meeting you, Marco. And Marco says, stay safe, friendo. You stay safe as well, Marco. And best wishes to you and your family and your lady friend. Tell Serena I'm sending her much love and hugs. Stay safe, everyone. Micah says, if I were Stephen Ogg, I would be proud to have been able to voice Trevor. I think it's his most famous role. But I'm sure it's not the role that he wants to be associated with. If he wants, you know, if he considers himself a serious actor. Like, you could argue, like, Johnny Depp has had a great career. His most famous role is Captain Jack Sparrow. And he leaned into it. You know, he'd go to, like, charity events, like hospitals, dressed as the character. So, I think he doesn't mind being associated with that. But it's so close to his personality anyways. Same with Keanu and John Wick. And Miko says to Papa One, Lamar does not die in GTA 5. And Peter Walsdorf says, I follow Ned Luke, and he enjoys being called Michael DeSanta.
Yep.
Mama One says, I seen where he said he gets tired of people always wanting him to curse at them or slap them, and it's only that. He claims, how about a hug or something nice? He gets tired of playing mean characters. Yeah. He's an actor. He's sensitive. Don't make him cry. Doesn't want to access the mean feelings. He wants to access the sensitive. Can't help it if he has a mean, scary face. He had a role in Westworld. I don't know if you saw Westworld. Highly recommend season 1 of Westworld. Everyone in the chat. And Stephen Ogg is in there as like just a bad cowboy robot. Boley says it's the only role anybody remembers him for, and he wants to be taken more seriously as an actor. Dude is looking to be remembered at all. Yeah, that's what I would assume too, Boley. Oh, dude is lucky to be remembered. Well, he has such, his name is Stephen Ogg. You're never going to forget a name like Ogg. What's the etymology of Ogg? Let's look that up. Ogg name origin. Oh, it's Scottish. The surname Ogg is a Scottish anglicized form of a Gaelic nickname Og, meaning young, and an English variant of hog, pronounced without the H. So, so his name is really Stephen Hogg, but the H is silent. Micah says, speaking of celebrities, have you met any in person? If so, how was it? I met Elijah Wood. He's a tiny, tiny human being. At a party. Not like in I met him socially, and so I couldn't like fanboy out, even though I love the Lord of the Rings. So I was just, hey, great to see you. It's like shook his hand. He had a tiny hand. It's like please, his hand was like this big. Yeah, he's hobbit sized, and he was wearing the most exquisite shoes I'd ever seen in my life. They were, they were just like, they were beautiful, and they were so tiny. They were like this big. They were so, but I couldn't even identify him. And I just, I always wear big clunky Doc Martens. And he was wearing these just like these Italian leather. You could see the stitching on it. Yeah, it was weird, man. And I met, what's her name? Lori Petty. I don't know if you know her, Tank Girl. She was at a concert that I was participating in, and I have met met a couple bands. Don't necessarily want to say who that I opened for. I will say they wanted more. Partied with them, and that was fun. Jane Weedland from the Go-Go's. Met a lot of punk rockers. Partied with her. Who else? I think Elijah Wood is the most famous movie star that I've met. Met some TV people. I went out with someone from Malcolm in the Middle. I won't tell you who. But she was all grown up. It's like I didn't... yeah, went out with her for a little bit. But, it's like I don't like dating actors. They're very dramatic. Everything's a big deal. Miko says, imagine how Peter Blomquist must feel. Did anyone see the ending of Reacher? Season 3? He had his fight with that giant. It was emotionally satisfying. I want to watch it again. I mean, the last episode. That was fun. And then I actually looked it up because his physique is reminding me of Arnold in his prime. And, not even in his prime. Arnold's prime was in the 70s with when he was Mr. Universe. But he reminds me of, like, Terminator Arnold. And there's a scene where they're basically repeating, or where they recreated, where he's like walking down naked down a street because he was like swimming towards Duffy, his DEA handler, and she just looks at him and goes, "F me," and he's like, he's like lit from behind, so everything's in shadow, but it looks like the opening scene from Terminator, and so I looked him up, and he's bigger than Arnold. He's taller and he has more mass. Arnold, of course, he was just way more defined. It's like every individual muscle just popped on Arnold, and so he's like, I don't want to say softer, but he's got the general shape and physique of like Terminator Arnold. Mama One says, we have met a few celebrities ourselves. Phil Robertson, his son Willie, granddaughter. Also, we met two of the cast, the Walking Dead cast, like Andrew Lincoln and Chandler Riggs and Michonne. See, Mama One, because, they're horse people. They've met way more than me. Andrew Lincoln is a Brit, as I recall. Papa One says, Andrew Lincoln is one of the most down-to-earth, famous people ever. Honestly, a fun guy to hang out with.
Yeah.
Micah says, I didn't know you briefly dated an actress. It ended in tears, as it always does. Micah. I'm not a good boyfriend. Not a bad boyfriend. But yeah, it wasn't like the acting part was secondary.
Just hold on there, boy.
We met at a party and we got along, so we just started going out for a little bit. But it was like everything I learned, like the inside scoop on actors. She was 24 at the time, and she said that like the darkest, deepest secret, apart from all those other scary P. Diddy secrets, which she didn't talk about, and I don't think she was privy to, was that everyone lies about their age on the resume, and she was 24 at the time and was still going out for teen roles. She was still trying, her resume listed herself as 18. So anytime you see like these actors that seem to have like suddenly super aged, like Luke Perry, dying of a brain aneurysm, I believe, when he's barely out of his 50s. He was probably like 10 to 15 years older. And I think that's what's happening with Millie Bobby Brown. I think she was older to begin with when she was playing 11 as a, a 12 or 13-year-old. Perhaps she was like 16 or 17. And that's why she looks like such a grown-up now. But yeah, everybody lies. But it's acting is a lying profession. You get to be a professional liar. What's that about? Papa One says, we provided horses to The Walking Dead in a few seasons, and we stayed on site as we were responsible for our horses. That must have been a great experience, Papa One. You should talk about that. There's like, there's a Walking Dead fandom even now, I'm sure, that would love to hear what you have to say about that. Love to hear about your experience. And Papa One says, Phil Robertson was so down to earth as well. He instantly just hugged Mama One, who was surprised and acted like we were old friends. Then he found out about my history. He said that he was honored that I would want to meet him. Wonderful man who didn't let fame change him. Unfortunately, his son didn't take after him. You can tell he thought he was better than everyone. Well, he was raised in it. That happens a lot, I would assume. And Boley says, crazy, Papa One. I lived down the road from where they filmed. Another southerner here, Papa One. Another son of the South. Drink valerian and ginseng anytime we can find it this early in the game, just for the XP, health, and Deadeye. You can max out your Deadeye XP on valerian, but I prefer to do it the old-fashioned way by shooting things. Miko says everybody lies must be an industry standard. Well, as the saying goes, it's Hollywood, baby. It's an industry of liars, at least for the people in front of the camera. Micah says, was the film the first actually filmed in Georgia, or was it filmed somewhere else? Yeah, they filmed in Georgia, Micah, for Walking Dead. For the tax breaks, very difficult to film in California now. It's very expensive, rather, and you get taxed to death. You need permits for everything. Yeah, I was looking up Hannibal, which I'm obsessed with right now. Really need to get that on Blu-ray. Was filmed in Canada, in Toronto. Hannibal's house, which they show, is beautiful house in season 1, is actually Toronto. They say it's Baltimore, but it's Toronto. Papa One says, Bully, for The Walking Dead, we supplied several horses, some that were not prominent, but our most famous was Flame, Michonne's horse in season 4. We later sold that horse to a trainer who had more Hollywood contracts. It was a fun experience, but not something I would do full time. Yeah, Hollywood is that whole industry. It's on its way out, I believe. Foley says, amazing, came down the road one night and a bunch of zombies were in a friend of mine's pasture. I will give it, I loved the makeup in The Walking Dead. I mean, I love special effects. I love zombies. I just couldn't stand how emotionally devastating that show was. That, you wouldn't get payoffs. It's like, they'd make you like a character, and then they would just kill that character off in a horrible way. And then you wouldn't get vengeance for that character later in the season. By it's like in a lot of times they would flip, switch the paradigm up and make that character a good guy, or you'd follow. Yeah, that show is very miserable, I think. So I didn't really follow it. I think I saw after they left the prison, I started losing interest, and then it went on for years.
Can't wait to finish this. Good job, Morgan.
Micah says, did you like Fear the Walking Dead? I liked it at first, but again, they started doing the same things where you'd get emotionally involved with the characters, and then they would do really mean things to them. And I don't like that. I don't want that. So, yeah. But I like this, I like that it was the start of the pandemic. That's enjoyable to me, the start. The panic, the civil unrest, the initial survival where you're figuring things out, getting weapons, fortifying your location, escaping to safety. That's more fun to me than just surviving and living through it day to day, and turning it into a zombie soap opera, which is what The Walking Dead wanted to do. And Papa Wentz says, really, Bully, my son got to be an extra for filming that day. He was a huge fan. And so him and a girl he was dating at the time got to be in an episode. My son was still in high school at the time. That must have made some great stories, Papa One. Papa One says, we quit watching when Rick left, and Negan was cool, but it just got old after a little while. I believe our girl Serena still loves The Walking Dead. So you could talk to her about it.
You are starting to unnerve me, friend. I don't think you want me any more unnerved than I already am.
Still keeping an eye on the on Mr. Pearson, trying to trigger that scout jacket. I don't think Sadie would like The Walking Dead. Papa One says, sounds like that was pretty cool, Bully. We just sit and watched over our horses and taught Michonne's actress basic horse riding. Some trainers would leave their animals, but since we were legally, Papa One will continue, mandate exercise. Says, will you ever stream Bully? I don't think so. Mandate. It's a good idea, but Rockstar games other than this one haven't done well on this channel. You think they would, but they don't. And so maybe, probably not. Papa One continues, but since we were legally responsible for our horses, we never would leave the horses during filming. We would never be not far behind the camera. And Cloudy says, did you watch Tales of the Walking Dead? I don't think I did. No. But, part of it is I don't have terrestrial TV anymore, so I would have to stream it. But, which I never do. I think it's on AMC, or maybe it's probably on Netflix, but... And Miko says, hello, Mandate. Towards the end of the week, someone starts smelling a little horsey. And Mandate says, hi, Meek. Bully wants me to go online. Yeah, we just like playing as Arthur on this channel, all by ourselves.
Real good.
And Micah says, I enjoyed the Walking Dead Tale game series. We're going to do the old save reload or exit reload and try to get Norbert to spawn. Spoiler alert, Norbert will not spawn. We did get him finally. Just not in this playthrough. Papa One says, it was a fun experience, but I prefer horse races and show horses over television horses. I like to be up and doing something, not just sitting. Papa One, you are a man of action. Someone's tired, Miko. Yeah, she woke me up this week when I was having my bad dreams. She would press her forehead against me, wake me up. They weren't nightmares, I need to specify. They were just like emotionally distressing dreams. Dreaming about my parents. But I would wake up with tears in my eyes. So I was probably crying in my sleep. What's that about? And she didn't like that. So we'd wake up, and then I wouldn't want to go back to sleep, so we'd watch YouTube. Or try to find something light. Frasier. And then she can sleep. You know, she would sleep. She sleeps the sleep of the innocent. Dog tired, so she'd sleep, and I'd just watch Frasier. Papa One says, we also provided horses for Flicka, the film about a girl bonding with a wild black Mustang. We provided some background horses. Flicka is Swedish for girl. How do I know that? Dated a Swede. Dated a Viking. We're also going to get the brindle thoroughbred. Not this playthrough because we haven't opened the stables yet. But I did make a short of it, which is doing quite well. Papa One says, nightmares can be rough, Super Antonio. I struggle with them sometimes still. It was really bad for years when I was in my heyday. I would go to sleep on my ranch and wake up in a foxhole and now I'm... Yeah, it wasn't technically a nightmare, I think, Papa One, because I wasn't afraid. I was just really sad, really emotionally heavy dreams. And I just assume that I'm processing just feelings for my parents that I haven't really taken the time to feel. Cloudy says, Red Dead Online hasn't been the same since 7/7/22. Micah says, I heard Swedish people in general are more introverted. I don't believe they are, Micah, as a culture. If anything, they're not like Italians. Also, they're not like they're not like Vikings either. I mean, they're proud of their Viking heritage, as far as I know, but they're not barbarians anymore. And Peter says, that's pretty cool, Papa One. Yep, he's pretty cool, Peter. But it's all thanks to Mama One. Mama One, what's for dinner? Papa One says, I've woken up back at Quezon. My dad had them too. He would wake up screaming in German. And sometimes he would wake up raising hell at his men to get up the beach at Normandy. I had no idea your dad was at Normandy, Papa One. That's amazing that he survived that. He's a hero.
Okay, boy. Let's go.
Also, he talked about being in Italy fighting to hold a church. Nightmares suck. Yeah, I agree. Papa One says, thanks, Peter, and thanks, Super Antonio. Well, you know, you never have to apologize, and you never have to thank me. I'm always happy to be here, friend. We got the buck. Don't necessarily have to give him a full carcass, but we need to donate 5 carcasses as part of... so we might as well get that out of the way. Someone tired and wants to... Well, we can keep her with a potent canine bait. Uncle's taking a nap. Peter says, I always wanted to try riding a horse. You should, Peter. I mean, you love this game. I like us up here just because it balances against the Super Antonio. Maybe we'll do that for a while. The other option that I've noticed streamers doing
Now, Pearson.
is they will
Many thanks, Mr. Morgan.
make this smaller. Wait. Make this smaller. So I'll go like this. Don't necessarily like that. Let's see. I don't know. We'll try to figure it out. And the other option, of course, is to go back to the regular size. Maybe we'll do that. Try new things. Trying to find a formula that works. The golden mean. Shout out to the channel members. Mama once says we had smoked duck with homemade mashed potatoes. I love mashed potatoes. Now I want mashed potatoes, okra, squash, tomatoes, onions that I got fresh and made into a soup. And we had some rice with duck gravy. For dessert, I made brownies. That sounds delicious. Papa once says my dad was assigned to the 29th Infantry Division. Well, that's about all I have for you tonight, friends. I appreciate you being here. We shall return tomorrow night with the Bad Honor commentary. We're in chapter 6. And then we shall be finishing LA Noire on Sunday before we move on to a couple new games. Like and subscribe. Thanks for being here. Shout out to the mods, Miko and Papa One and Mama One. Great talking to you, Marco and Cloudy and Peter and Micah. Thanks, friends. We'll see you again tomorrow night. I shall leave the chat going for a bit, and you guys can talk amongst yourselves. Thanks for being here, and have a great weekend.